You're quarrelling amongst yourselves about who was more in bed with Murdoch, and I would have said it was a pretty even match.
Not in bed.
Not in bed, possibly. But you did have, as far as I can see, New Labour had 14 years in which to do something about this. And it wasn't just that you were told some lies by News International and the PCC didn't get it right because they're useless. There was, for instance, the Information Commissioner in, I think it was 2003, when the whole, the first private investigator scandal blew up, and Steve Whittemore. And the Information Commissioner said, look, all the British papers, effectively, have been using this scumbag who's been hacking people's phones and blagging PIN numbers and bribing people at Vodafone. And it was clearly endemic in the British press at that time. And you did nothing. But I will give you this, I'll give you this credit. It's not really credit, but it's like semi-sympathy. I think you were frightened of falling out with, for instance, Murdoch, because at that time you still probably thought he could get you elected. But more importantly, this is the sinister business, there's an individual threat going on. MPs were terrified, individually, of taking on any of the tabloids, but especially anything from News International. I mean, the prime example being when there was the Select, Culture and whatever it is, Select Committee in 2003, no, it was the later one, I think, 2006-9, when they tried to bring Rebecca Brooks in to see them, and she refused, and they asked again, and she refused, and they kept asking, and finally the message got through to the Select Committee, if you make me come, I will destroy your personal lives. And they backed off, terrified. And that's what MPs have been. They've been, on an individual basis, absolutely terrified. It was, after all, Chris Bryant at that same Select Committee who asked Rebecca Brooks the question, have you ever paid the police? And when she made her terrible gaffe and said yes. And 6 months later, what happens? Chris Bryant is outed by The Sun as being gay. You know, this is a protection racket, and it should not be called anything else. And these are supposed to be our lawmakers.
Okay.
Going back to what Shirley said, given the fact that the Metropolitan Police has been sitting on this information since 2006, given the bribe allocations, can we trust the Met to run this investigation, or should an external police force be called in?
Okay, well, that's a question. I had it from Geraldine Hutchinson here, exactly the same, and I'll just read it, perhaps, since you've said it. The police are now implicated in the phone hacking saga. Are they to be trusted to continue the investigation?
Can I start with that one, seeing as they've actually been to see me?
When did they come to see you?
I'm innocent in this one. Yeah, in this one. So far, I'm innocent. They've actually been to see me twice. The original people came to see me in 2004 and then just disappeared into the ether and nothing ever happened. Those were the bad cops. We now know that it was a shameful, feeble investigation.
This was Yates.
This was Yates and Heyman, and they pretty much covered it up, and they said there's only been a couple of cases, and then when people asked for, you know, like John Prescott would phone in and say, are you sure my phone hasn't been hacked? They'd say, no, absolutely not. Subsequently, it turned out he'd been hacked to death. So they were a disgrace. Okay. Yeah. The new cops have been to see me. They asked to see me because they wanted to show me this evidence. They wanted to show me the private investigator Glenn Mulcair's notes, which were covered in my personal details, phone numbers, PIN numbers, details of friends, family, personal trainers. Well, yeah, it was getting intimate when I got to personal trainers.
Okay, let's get to the point.
And they seemed very good, I have to say. I'm told by lawyers who've been around them a lot, and been around both sets of Metropolitan Police, say this lot are ashamed of what their fellow officers at the Met did. They think they're a disgrace, and they're very hard on this, to the point where I'm also told by the lawyers who are close to this, there will be arrests, and very soon, and at a high level.
So you trust the police to examine their own behaviour?
I think I trust Operation Wheating, yes, I think I do.
John